Let's start the timer, Roy. I promise I'm good now.
All right.
Okay. A recent peer-reviewed study found that players experience something called post-game depression after completing a meaningful experience. This is a concept you've probably heard me talk about before. A lot of us in Discord talk about the post-game depression. It's the feeling I get after I finish something meaningful to me, something that's seeped into my bones, something I think about when I'm not playing it, and then when it inevitably ends, I'm left with a strange mix of loneliness and longing. Today I'm going to try and argue why you should play games that make you feel this way, in particular The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Experiencing something meaningful, something that has the power to change your perspective on the world, the people around you, the life you live, is the pinnacle of storytelling. The Witcher 3 often asks you to reflect on the way you think about these things, the kinds of decisions you make and why, but it also gives you room to contemplate these things without forcing an answer. Wild Hunt is a true role-playing experience, and that the only judgment you'll receive for your decision-making is the outcome, the consequences, and the gameplay. And of those outcomes, just like in real life, are completely filled to the brim with context, depth, and ambiguity. Wild Hunt pulls off all of the right strings at the right time and really makes it feel like you're the one in control of this big, expansive universe. So I want to talk about three things today. I could probably talk about this game for... I actually think I could talk about this game longer than I played it, and I played it for about 200 hours. But the first thing that I want to talk about is the writing. Every single little story that they tell in this game has depth. The choices you make aren't binary, they're layered on top of one another, so you make a decision that later comes to affect a different decision you have to make, and that just keeps toppling on top of itself until you have this completely textured and layered world that you helped craft. Like, that's really the important thing about The Witcher 3. Things actually matter, like the things you do actually matter. You have efficacy over the game and the world. And part of this is because the stakes in Wild Hunt are so high. The surrounding cast of characters gets plenty of screen time and quiet moments on their own. You spend a lot of time with like little side characters and the main cast especially. But the big thing here is that there's this constant tension of, are they going to be okay? How can I take care of the people and the world that I love? And making decisions that actually benefit those people and that world. And you learn early and often that Wild Hunt isn't going to hand out happy endings. It's just not really one of those types of games. So the stakes of every decision you make and the combat experience feel all the more weighted as a result of that. You know that a lot is on the line. Lastly, I want to talk about Geralt, because Geralt is really important to me. I think anybody who's played Witcher 3 would say the same thing about Geralt. Everyone is going to try and have a different version of Geralt. Mine was honest and helpful. He was willing to sacrifice himself for parts of the betterment of those he loved. But most importantly, he was direct and assertive. Two qualities that I came out of when I was playing this game and thinking to myself, I want to be more like Geralt. In terms of the combat, I think a lot of people talk about the combat being infamously like dull, but The Witcher 3 combat is really great. And one of the things that I suggest to people is that you actually ramp up the difficulty as high as you possibly can. Because it really helps you interact with every system and the mechanical depth that exists there. The entire combat becomes strategic just as it is mechanical and reactive. I always talk about how much world economy means to me. I think world economy in The Witcher 3 is really excellent, especially if you play on the harder difficulties. Everything that you buy, everything that you purchase, really matters, because you do tend to run out of money, especially early in the game. I could write I could read off an entire section about Gwent. It's the in-game card game. I spent like 100 hours playing it. It's awesome. Really fantastic. And then I think just lastly, the atmosphere. Exploring areas like Toussaint, Skellige, often on the back of Roach, is going to be what sticks with me the most. The reward of The Witcher 3 is getting to see your influence. The seasons change, the characters change, the world changes. It feels like time is actually passing, like the world is actually making a real change. And then just to wrap things up, I knew without a doubt that The Witcher 3 is one of my favorite games of all time, and perhaps that was always inevitable. I loved 1 and 2, but the kind of experience I got from Witcher 3 was one where I felt wonderfully drowned in the atmosphere and the world, It was not quite like what I expected. I will deeply miss Geralt's character, the cohort of friends he developed, and I am still, months after playing this game, experiencing post-game depression from Witcher 3, The Wild Hunt. So, with that being said, I am open to questions from the panel.
Let's give a round of applause to Ben. Clappies.
Thank you,
and don't forget to reveal your game.
Yeah. I want to make sure I do this without accidentally revealing everybody's.
Sure, I've got a question.
Yeah.
Regarding one of the first points you made.
Yeah.
What quality do you think you are lacking to become more like Geralt?
What quality am I lacking to become more like Geralt? That's a good question. I think I mean, from a personal perspective, the way that Geralt articulates his intentions is what I feel like I'm missing in my life, where I will like really value the way that Geralt just tells things like it is. He'll set boundaries for himself. He'll say like, I'm going to do this or I'm not going to do this. And he's a man of his word, and he just keeps to that. I think sometimes at the fear of disappointing people, I often will try and ride that line a little bit too much. So Geralt is really tremendous at helping people while remaining true to himself, I would say. So what else we got?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Me?
Yeah.
So I've played Witcher 3. And I'm a bit of a completionist. I get easily sidetracked. And this is one of those big open world maps with tons of side content.
Yeah.
And I ended up burning myself out on it and getting lost and getting like forgetting what was happening in the main story. How would you sell this game to someone like that easily gets distracted or struggles to keep up with the story of it or might get lost?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. It's worth noting that I started and stopped Witcher 3 a couple of times before I actually went through and finished it. And I think the ambitiousness of the game can be a little scary for like anyone, right? There's so much to do. There's so many characters to keep track of, and there's a lot happening all at once. And so it is easy to like get sidetracked and then be like, wait, what was I doing here? What was I doing there? There is this moment that takes place after consecutively playing Witcher 3. And I will give this piece of advice. It's not something I learned as a result of Witcher 3, but it's something that really benefited me while playing the game. Is sticking with one game and not playing anything else in between. And Witcher 3 in particular for me was one of those experiences where I wanted to let myself become totally immersed in the world and the characters and the writing. And so it was one of those things where I just kind of, I kept playing, on a consistent basis. I waited forever to play this game because I wanted to wait for like this perfect moment. And that never really came. But when I did play it, I was on winter break and I had nothing else really going on. And it was just one of those things where I got to dedicate myself to this game because that is a little bit of what it requires, right? I think some of the best games of all time ask you to really focus and pay attention to what they have going on and to trust their systems. And this is one of those games where you have to do that. There is no right answer. There's no like, okay, well, you could just like burn through the main story if you want, or like, just try and avoid the side quests. Like you'd just be doing yourself a disservice, honestly. So much of the side content is really, really great. And so I do think that this is one of those experiences that I believe everybody should have at some point. But I also believe it's the kind of experience that will come to you at the right point in time in your life, like it did for me. So that's my answer there.
I'd like to ask, since you gave a big emphasis on your choices matter, like you make a choice early on and that affects something later on. Can you give a good example of something that happens early on and that actually affects something later that really means something to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think generally speaking, without without spoiling, part of this is
So I said like something early.
is a connect from Witcher 2. But I think in general, so okay, this is actually a really fun example. There's romance in Witcher 3. I think a lot of people know that. There's a couple of primary characters who you can have romantic relationships with, and one of them is named Triss, and I love Triss, but I don't love Triss's character as much as I love Yennefer's character. And so this was kind of one of those experiences I had where without kind of knowing, it was at two separate points in the game, my Geralt fell for both of them, right? My Geralt fell in love with both of these characters. And it's because they had these like real experiences. They go off on these adventures, and it's like one thing after another sort of just happens. And you're making this decision and you're like, oh, like, okay, this is great. Whatever. I can, Geralt loves this character. I can be totally genuine with this person, whatever. And then as the game actually goes along, I don't know how many people will have this issue, but the two characters that you kind of like romance or fall in love with start to interact with each other and realize like, hey, it wasn't like Geralt was like two-timing us, but like there's like something significant going on with Triss and also with Yennefer, and they kind of put that together. And then the experience they have when they eventually like meet up and start interacting is really, really fascinating. And so that's just like one of those little moments where it's like, I never would have thought that's the kind of thing the game would try and pull off, but it does, and it pulls it off really well. And then there's just all sorts of like little moments. I had in my my thing when I wanted to talk about it, but like in terms of gameplay systems, you can there'll be like enemy encampments, right? And they're not really doing anything. There's no good reason to take on these like bandits or whatever. But sometimes if you do and you put the effort for it and like eliminating whatever it is in that area, you'll notice later in the game that an encampment of actual people moves in and starts taking care of the area. They build up their home, and so you have that kind of efficacy of like, oh yeah, I remember I eliminated like a bunch of bandits there, and now people have their home back. And so stuff like that was really impactful to me.
We are kind of over the time at this point.
Okay.
I did want to get one chat question since this kind of leads into it. You mentioned how like this kind of leads in from Witcher 2. Do you really need to play Witcher 1 and 2 first to get a better experience with 3, or can you just jump right into 3?
I mean, I guess a better experience is subjective here, but no, you can definitely just jump into 3. They do a little catch up at the beginning of the game. If anything, one of my biggest complaints about Witcher 3 is that it does not meaningfully carry over some of the stuff from the second game that happens, and I kind of wish that it had, but it does make it a much better and essential to play isolated experience in my opinion. So yeah, it's a good question.
All right, I think we're about out of time.
Okay, thanks everyone. Thank you.
Let me see if I can get this working. It actually did play for me, but maybe I can just...
Who do we have up next, Roy? I want to make sure that because now that things are like sort of back in order, I got to make sure all the videos are like ready to go.
I'm gonna try to do cacti.
Okay, so we are gonna do cacti. Okay.
So let me make sure I can
Stop
actually...
long enough.
Okay.
Where is it?
So I need to click on your video then, Roy? Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay. I can hear it. Just let me get the volume real quick. Okay, chat, you're gonna have to let me know how volume is, but I do have the video up, so we should be good on that front. Just go ahead and play
Can
it.
you all see it?
Yeah, I think they can see it.
Okay.
I'll
Listen to my story. This may be our last chance.
From the moment you load up this game, you can tell it's something different. Tell me you didn't feel something just now. The key to Final Fantasy X's greatness lies in its storytelling and the way it makes you feel. The opening scene on the surface might look like a bunch of individuals joining together to save the world, and it is that, but it's also so much more. The scene brings up many other questions like, who exactly are these people? Why are they together in these ruins? And why are they all so somber? And it instantly hooks you. And while you progress through the story and piece together things, it just opens up more unknowns, keeping you engaged. It's basically a big mystery novel, but with the added action, romance, drama, and of course, gactoirs. The world of Final Fantasy X is set in Spira, and much of it feels alien and mystical. It is dotted with spiritually and culturally unique places and people, and the story does well to connect you to them, making the journey feel important. It feels like a world worth saving. This game also produces one of the best original Final Fantasy soundtracks to date, with the music masterfully enriching the world building and storytelling. And it has what I'd say is the best video game track ever produced, with Anakin. But the story's biggest strength rests on its characters, which are much deeper than a lot of other Final Fantasy titles, from their relevance to the story to their relationships and their growth. And something that makes this unique is that it doesn't just have one main hero or protagonist, it has two. A male and a female, each having their own character-driven perspectives and plots that intertwine with each other. And honestly, I think the ways in which this Final Fantasy tells and unravels its story is unbeaten in the series because of the way it makes you feel things as you move through it. It's a roller coaster of emotions. Growing up, this made me feel so many things I hadn't felt before playing a game. And for me, this game is the answer to what game would you wipe from your memory and relive? For gameplay, it's the last Final Fantasy in the turn-based combat genre, but it's far more fun and interesting than traditional turn-based, with added features like swapping out characters, combat turn boards, and summoning play, all allowing for a high degree of combat strategy. In my mind, this game is already an EG Essential, because it's already so ingrained in the community, often appearing in our Discord, and after 25 years, still getting noticed with many recent first playthroughs by our EG members. There's a reason this is such a beloved title in the franchise, and already a part of our community. It's impactful on so many levels, and it sticks in your memory and your heart. And if you haven't yet, you should give it a go and find out why for yourself.
All right, let's give a round of applause. Clappies.
Claps in the chat. Excuse me, Chad. I'm coming over bronchitis still. Roy, do you want to kick us off with questions, or does anybody else want to start?
Well, main thing is, first thing that comes to mind is why 10 over like 9 or 7 or 6.
Okay,
It's like so many different Final Fantasies.
I've already anticipated this question. In fact, I've got written down already an answer to some of the things I knew was going to come up, and this was one of them. So obviously everyone, there's that golden age of Final Fantasy from like 6 through to 10 that everyone has different nostalgic, feelings for depending on which one they played first, etc. But this one, for me, the original, like at the time of its release, it had some of the best graphics seen in its generation. Like even now, some of the cutscenes are crazy good. It's the first in the franchise to have full 3D exploration, like in terms of the maps. And so it kind of has that, I guess you can consider it a pioneer in 3D RPG maps, right? It was sort of one of the first to do that. It's also the first in the franchise to have voice acting. Take that how you will. But it did a lot of things to kind of move not just the franchise, but also the genre in terms of moving that space forward. And I'd say also that it doesn't suffer from what I think is the biggest downfall of previous titles around that age, which is that a lot of them, if you think about 7, 8, even 9 to a degree, they kind of have a little bit of lack of story direction and cohesiveness in the way they tell the story. And they also have a lot of uninfluential characters. This doesn't have that. This feels well more like a lot more rounded. And it kind of really directs you through the story really nicely.
All right. Anyone else?
I mean, my question was kind of similar, but why this over Final Fantasy 13? I'm just kidding. I'm not actually asking that question.
I've got a real question.
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, I also have a real question, but I'll wait to see if there's extra time.
Go ahead.
No. Please, Emma, you go ahead.
Okay, I will then. Yeah, Final Fantasy X is one of my favorite games of all time. I almost brought this game to Epilogue Essentials. There's a good chance that I would have been told that no, it's already been brought when I suggested it. So it's hard for me to criticize anything about this because it was such a big part of my childhood. But one thing I've noticed from recent playthroughs is that even with the remaster, this is a PlayStation 2 title to its core. And that carries some age. PlayStation 2 games tend not to do great in the modern era. And Final Fantasy X especially, while the story is beautiful, the voice acting direction in particular is not great. The voice actors are wonderful, but they've pretty much been brought into a room and singing their lines. And that can bring this sort of campiness to the title that takes away from the seriousness that I've noticed that people don't get as engaged in compared to more modern RPGs. Do you feel that this is an RPG that people can play with the same expectation when they're brought up against things like Octopath and Expedition 33 that have grown in the many decades since this came out?
Yeah, like the VA overall is not amazing, right? That is definitely an issue this has, particularly with its delivery. But when you consider that era that it came out in, you know, this was the first in the franchise to try this. And it's actually quite impressive how they created character voices that are unique and now iconic. And it kind of works. And yes, there is that awkwardness, that campiness, that weirdness in its delivery. But I also think that's kind of what makes it sort of charming and in a way a little bit relatable. Like we've all had those awkward conversations, right? Like nothing is as fluent and as easy as a lot of the voice acting in today's titles, in more common things. So you kind of just have to take it as it is and not overthink it and try to avoid comparing it, I think, to like today's standards of VA, like, you know, X33 or Dispatch or other newer Final Fantasy titles. You know, I don't think it's actually that bad. I just think that, yeah, there are some strange dialogue choices and deliveries, but I think in the end it's still endearing and relatable in many ways.
Great answer. That was literally the meanest thing I could think of to say about the game. So
All right, Ben?
Just a quick question. I'm Final Fantasy can be a little hit or miss to me in terms of like the RPG systems at play. I never feel like I'm getting to craft the characters myself, really. Like they always seem on sort of predetermined paths for where they're gonna start and where they're gonna end up. Does Final Fantasy X do anything in particular to combat that issue? I actually have it on my list of games to play this year, so I haven't gotten around to it.
In terms of story, obviously the story is predetermined, so not really in that sense. But when you consider the combat, they do have a really unique leveling and combat system. So the way you level your characters in this isn't just typical you get levels, they get stronger and they're pigeonholed into like their type of class or job role. this uses a board, a sphere grid to level up your characters by adding like abilities and skills to them. And you can actually use a board. There's two types of boards. There's like the set path one, which kind of just creates the character's skills and levels its abilities up in the way that it's portrayed as, like, you know, this is your healer or this is your summoner or whatever. But you can also play with an open board, which allows you to pick and choose what skills and what abilities you want to give that character. So you can actually create the character's way of battling completely different from how they, you know, pitch the character, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm probably not explaining that very well.
No, I think
I
think that answers my question. Mine was mostly about combat, so I get where you're coming from. Yeah. Cool. Roy, any chat questions?
Time for questions.
Yeah.
Like, we've been going over the 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I guess go from Canis. For someone who doesn't vibe turn-based combat, is the story and extra stuff a good enough reason to play this?
I mean, of course I'm biased, but yes. I think the story and the way it's delivered in this one really helps you want to progress, right? Even if you're not like super enthralled with the battle system, which I think is actually, like I said in the video, is quite unique in that, you know, there's more to do than just simple turn-based. Like, it's the first time you can swap characters in your party mid-battle. Like, you know, you can change the way the order works. You can strategize through the order based on what skills you use. It's a lot more interesting than normal turn-based combat. And even if you still don't like that, I think the story is good enough to engage you and carry you through.
All right. Give another hand for Cacti
Well
here.
done, Cacti. Well done. So who do we have third, Roy?
Skia.
Skia. Skia, is your screen being shared yet?
Was, but not now.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't.
That was a funny thing to keep in mind, that this and Ben's were supposed to go back to back.
Yeah, now I'm seeing the irony in that. Okay, let me make sure that Skias is ready to go. Chat, you're gonna have to help me with audio, but otherwise, let's go ahead and get rolling.
All right, are we ready?
I'm assuming so.
Hooray!
Rock and roll.
A game does not go from one of the worst launches in history to years later, best of all time lists and overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam. Like, that does not just happen. That kind of transition is impossible unless it is a game that takes it on the cheek, completely defies the odds, and becomes a fully redeemed standout of its genre. A game that grabs you by your collar and demands, "Wake the fuck up, gamers. We've got an essential to play." Now, if you're going to lead the game primarily through questing, you gotta go the way of Baldur's Gate. You look at the wiki for the way a questline can turn out, and there's all these creative, unexpected options. Cyberpunk is very much in the same vein, with forking paths of choice and flavor. There are soft hidden details and alternate routes that'll send you down mini rabbit holes of hypotheticals and role-playing opportunities. You've got a variety of dialogue choices, playstyle approaches, and solutions that'll have you looking away from the quest marker and thinking about other avenues not so simply spelled out for you. It's one of those games where you'll see on YouTube, 50 quest endings no one ever gets. Click here to find out. And the quests are meaningful because they're not just there for gameplay. They're there to riddle your mind with philosophical intrigue. Nier Automata is famous for asking players, how are humans and machines so different? And it's fantastic, but Cyberpunk takes things a little bit further. Instead of asking questions, the game forces you to find those answers. Every other questline ends up with the player making some kind of 4D trolley problem decision. Even if the choice you make ends up being purely for RP, you find yourself caring about your options because the game draws draws you in with its impacting presentation. Y'all remember how gripping God of War was, like on a cinematic scale? The one-shot continuous camera was a genius choice. Cyberpunk 2077 is a masterclass of cinematic direction in video games that employs a similar strategy. In addition to a mostly continuous shot, the vast majority of Cyberpunk takes place first person through the player's perspective. You're experiencing everything happening as V, not some third-party viewer in the audience chair. You know how in Elden Ring you're looking across landscapes and it's hard not to feel like you just got transported inside of a beautiful painting? Cyberpunk is like the cyberpunk version of that. If there's an opportunity for an epic scene that looks like it belongs in the most preem sci-fi action films, Cyberpunk takes that opportunity every time. It has a fantastic sense of setting. You're placed into these romantic rooms, sex-plastered streets, malicious meetups, rooftops, back alleys, ethereal digital planes, landfills, and despite how massive Night City is, all of it feels entirely intentional, like everything is framed in just the right way to express themes, generate emotion, and tell a story, even without words. However, Cyberpunk is also a story told through words. This can be a problem for games that don't have fresh, authentic writing and a full cast of talented voice actors. We have no problems here, we're fresh out of problems. Cyberpunk looked at games like Red Dead 2 and realized the potential interesting, well-acted characters have to carry a great game into an amazing game. No character is one-dimensional. Although this character is technically two-dimensional, and he's also a gun. One of my favorite side quests in the game involves talking down a sentient car from committing Sudoku off a bridge. You're going to fall in love. You're going to succumb to hate. You're going to forgive, but you're not likely to forget. Oh, but how could I forget the combat? Become a netrunner and use VATS from the Fallout games. Hack into camera to hack into another camera to hack into a turret to mow some folks down. Or maybe dash around and scatter their innards with a shotgun like your Doom guy. Frag out like you're playing Ultra Kill. Hello? Can you guys hear me? Hello? Every once in a while, you manage to shut the noise and chaos of Night City out, and that's when you'll hear it. The standoffish brute letting her guard down. An action hero admitting their fear to a loyal friend. A sensual, cerebral dive into the psyche. The feeling when you combine happiness and melancholy, or being calm with an underlying sense of anxiety. Folks, I'm not doing super okay if I can be honest with you for a sec. Fortunately, Cyberpunk has been around to kind of be this therapeutic experience to help get me through it. I mean, this is EG after all, right? I mean, we're talking about an art form that faces us with these fears and anxieties and puts a gun in our hand and says, go do something about it. I don't know, interactive literature that deals with what's going on inside and all around us? Isn't that kind of the point?
Let's give a round of applause.
Well done, well done. Roy, do you want to kick us off or you want me to kick us off?
You go ahead.
Okay. Skia, excellent presentation. One thing that I do want to point out is that every time I watch somebody play Cyberpunk, I feel like they are doing the camera control or hacking mechanism. It feels like it's a large part of like the combat experience. Have I just been unlucky, or are people involved in the hacking quite a bit in the combat?
The net running and the hacking and all that, it's definitely got like an appeal of like that's like when you're like the most godlike feeling, I think, as a build. But that is just one statistic of like 5 or 6. I mean statistic as like an attribute. So like that's in intelligence. If you don't do intelligence, you're probably not gonna be doing like hardly any of that. It is something that in my current playthrough I'm just totally ignoring and having a blast. But I do think, yeah, the reason you see it off so much is because it is cool. You know, it's cyberpunk, so you're going to be doing like a lot of hacking and stuff like that. So it is popular for like the power fantasy and, you know, being on theme, but don't need it.
And just a quick follow-up question to that. So I can play as a big dumb idiot if I feel like it.
You absolutely can. You can spec into strength or body, whatever it's called in this game,
and you can just get these hand implants and smack people. You can also get a big old mace and go caveman. There's a very good weapon that is literally a dildo that you can smack people with. It's great.
Awesome. Thanks, Skip.
Mm.
Who else has got questions?
I'm hoping to hear more questions from the panel.
Panel? Chat, if you have questions, tag Roy.
I don't want to ask an unfair question.
What is an unfair
Go for it.
question? You gotta ask.
Unfair to Ben because like, why Cyberpunk over Witcher kind of.
You know, I am very interested in trying out The Witcher because CD Projekt Red did both. I think if you are maybe a little burned out of man with sword in medieval setting, this does a lot of what Ben said Witcher does well. So definitely worth a shot. Although if you want, you can also be man with sword in this game. So, yeah.
Guess we
But
got some chat
Cyberpunk
questions.
didn't come with my graphics card 15 years ago.
Don't say 15 years ago. It wasn't 15 years ago.
To what degree would you say the player is given freedom of creative expression in approaching missions? Sounds like there's a lot of hacking and beat stick, but like that's more based on your build. Do you have any creative or anything you can do yourself during a mission to make it go differently?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's kind of something I touched on a little bit when I mentioned Baldur's Gate comparison. If you go on like the wiki after you beat like a quest line in Cyberpunk, you can say, "Here's what you do if you completely ignore that objective and go do this. Here's what you do if you don't get seen, or if you talk this person down in the dialogue 3 quests ago." There's a lot of variety in the way you can approach things. That clip we're watching right now, where you mow somebody down with a turret, you don't need to do that at all. You don't even have to enter that building. You can have a sniper rifle and use like an infrared thing, and no one even has to know you're there. You're like maybe a block away from the guy you have to kill. Lots of variety, and that variety, the way you approach things, it can be build dependent, but a lot of it is also just like the choice you make from like a story role playing perspective.
Okay.
To follow that up, in the variety, is there a way to? I know it's probably not a favorite approach, but in many gamers, but is there a way to do things without violence? Like, can you choose to do the talk people down or convince people otherwise? Sort of, I'm thinking about like Fallout, and you use your charisma to get through situations rather than just guns a-blazing. Is that an option?
There are a lot of opportunities to talk down a fight or say the right things or bribe someone to avoid a fight. There's actually some special dialogue you get if you're like a total pacifist, like the one of the characters you meet who becomes very attached to you. Will like make some kind of offhanded comment where he's like, "Oh, right, but you don't like killing people, do you?" um you can still be combative without necessarily killing folks. There are like non-lethal weapon mods that you can put on, where when you defeat someone, they'll be like writhing around on the ground instead of actually dead. um I hope that answered your question.
Yeah.
We're basically out of time, but I do like a couple people are saying, why does all the drip suck?
uh get better at buying clothes. I don't know. No, some of the clothes are really really silly. I think it's like a mix of like rule of cool, but also a lot of it is like, I don't know, like 70s like color pop, and that's not always a great mixture. And I really hate saying go download mods then to solve the problem, but you can do that if you want.
You can just tell chat that they're.
Good thing it's in first person for most of it,
Yeah, that too. You just tell chat that their sense of fashion sucks, and
Yeah, actually, you guys are the problem.
I wouldn't do that. Chat's got to vote.
Oh yeah, my bad. Intentionally
I mean,
sabotaging
just kidding.
Skia. One more round of applause for Skia.
Clappers.
Who do we have next, Roy? Normally I would say we take a little break here, but I think we should probably keep plugging along since we got off to sort of a slow start. So who do we have next?
We have me.
Okay. All right. Well, I've got your video up whenever, so go ahead and get started.
Hello, and, again, welcome to the Epilogue Essentials Enrichment Center. We hope your brief detention in the previous presentations has been a pleasant one. Your votes have been processed, and we are now ready to begin the presentation proper. Before we start, however, keep in mind that although learning and persuasion are the primary goals of Enrichment Center activities, serious injuries may occur to Roy's ego.
For your own safety and the safety of others, please refrain from
Donde fallan, muchas gracias. Turn back. The portal presentation will start in 3,
2, 1.
This was a triumph. I'm making a note here. Peak design. It's hard to overstate how good this game is. Epilogue Gaming. We play the best games because we can. For the good of all of us, except the ones who are banned. But there's no sense crying over every mistake. You just keep on trying till you run out of game. And the puzzles get done while you use a neat gun. Because Portal is a game worth your vote. There is a great villain. She's always so sincere to you. Even though she wants to test and kill you and tear you to pieces and throw every piece into a fire. As they burn, it hurts because it's the lights of the game. Now the length of Portal is a beautiful sign. It's only 3 hours, that's not very much time. Whenever it's on sale, it's only just $2. That's why Portal is still worth your vote. Go ahead and give up. I think I prefer to stay with this. Maybe you'll find something else to present. Maybe Dark Souls 2. That was a joke, haha, fat chance. Anyway, this game is great. It's so simple and deep. Look at me still talking when there's puzzles to solve. When I look out there, it makes me glad it's not long. I've got presentations to run. There is research to be done on the games that are still worth your vote. And believe me, this game's worth your vote. I'm solving puzzles and I'm worth your vote. This game's fantastic and it's worth your vote. While you're showing, it's still worth your vote. And when you're done, it will be worth your vote. Worth your vote. Worth your vote.
Welcome, gentlemen, to Aperture Science. I'm Cave Johnson. I own the place. If you're interested in
sequel.
Get mad! I know what you damn...
Sequel.
What am I supposed to do with these? Demand to see Life's manager. Make Life rue the day it thought it could give Cave Johnson...
Sequel.
Do you know who I am? I'm the man who's gonna burn your house down with the...
Sequel.
I'm gonna get my engineers to invent a combustible...
Sequel.
that burns your house down!
He says what we're all thinking.
The lab boys just informed me that I should not have mentioned the...
Sequel.
They're telling me I ought to stop making these pre-recorded messages. That gave me an idea. Make more pre-recorded messages. I pay the bills here, I can talk about the...
Sequel.
all damn day.
But seriously, play both.
Well done, Roy. Well done. I guess since this is Roy's presentation, I'll go ahead and get things kicked off. Not that I blame you for this, given the alternate style of presentation, but we didn't really talk a lot about why Portal holds up at this stage, or like what did it do that was so interesting. So I just wanted to give you a minute to talk about that and its gameplay systems.
I think Portal is basically the perfect game. It's not my favorite game of all time, but I think it's 10 out of 10 perfect. It's got like perfect pacing. The puzzles are interesting, though not too complicated. There's like no fluff. Like it does start off the slow. You saw the whole minute intro just talking to you. But the whole mechanics of just you have a portal gun, you shoot 2 portals, you go in one and out the other. That is so creative. It gives a lot of opportunities for creative puzzle design that I don't think anything has surpassed it. Any puzzle game does anything quite as unique or special since then. Like Portal 2 maybe, but I feel like Portal 2 adds a little bit too much fluff and there's too much downtime between everything. Of course you should play both, but Portal 1 is the one I would say it deserves to be an essential.
Any questions from the panel before we get to chat questions? You can tag me this time, chat, since Roy is the panelist defending his presentation, so you can tag me in this particular case. But Dinah, Emma, Skia, Cacti. Any thoughts?
I'm just a little off guard because I really didn't think you were going to sing the entire time. I thought it was only going to be like the first minute.
No? I've been thinking about doing this for a while.
This is hard because, like, obviously, and you addressed it, sort of, the whole Portal 2, Portal 1 thing. Because in my mind, like, I've only played Portal 2. And you say Portal 1 is, like, doesn't have all the fluff, all those down moments. I kind of liked that about Portal 2. And I felt like it was a fuller game.
I can see that. Like, it's also a little quite a bit longer.
Yeah, like it's longer. It's got, you know, a few more characters, a few more gameplay mechanics. Obviously, you've got multiplayer. I just find it hard to think why 1 over 2.
I feel like before playing 2, you should play 1. I know you said you played 2 before 1.
Mhm.
Like, that's the big thing here. Is just why 2 over 1? Or why 1 over 2? I played 1 initially. Like, it was a free game, but like Valve was giving it away for whatever reason. Like, I'll just try this, and it just stuck with me for ever since then. Especially that ending song, which I used in the presentation because that song just cemented this as an all-timer for me. I don't think anything in Portal 2 comes close to that.
I've got a question from chat from Yogi Icebar, the other host of Epilogue Essentials. Still alive or want you gone?
Still alive.
Still alive.
I think I can just kind of answer that.
Yeah. I've got a kind of a unique one from Alesh here. As someone for whom first person doesn't work, does this game do something special with the perspective to overcome that, or does it make worth dealing with overcome that, or make it worth dealing with despite that?
I think that's something that Portal 1 actually does better than 2 in a way, in that everything is more self-contained until near the end, but even then you're not really flinging yourself and doing too many momentum things. It does come up occasionally, but you can kind of set yourself up beforehand for everything except for one specific room that you can just set the portals ahead of time and not have to worry about manipulating your perspective. Like everything is just you point and you shoot, and then things happen. You get a lot of time. You have plenty of time to actually work on the puzzle, so you're not set under a specific time limit for the most part.
Spock brings up a great point. Technically, when you look at yourself through a portal, it temporarily becomes both a first-person game and a third-person game. It's true, you can actually see your character wandering around from that perspective. So, any other questions from the panel before we get moving? Okay, one more round of applause for Roy's presentation.
Clappies.
Claps in the chat. So game 5. Who's next, Roy? Who do we got next?
I think Emma's next.
Emma's next. Okay. Emma, I've got your video up, so you go ahead and get started whenever you're ready.
All right, I know we've only got 5 minutes for our presentation, so I went ahead and put a timer in the corner for you so we can just sit back and relax. Enjoy.
Ingredients chosen to create the perfect little girl, but Professor Utonium accidentally added in.
All right, I know we've only got 5 minutes for our presentation, so I went ahead and... What the f*** is going on? A Hat in Time is a platformer about an alien stuck in a foreign world, desperately trying to find the mysterious timepieces needed to fuel her ship so she can get home. Hat in Time is a love letter to platformers past, especially Super Mario Sunshine, and the Hat Kid's experiences as she collects each timepiece form the backbone of a very unique and endearing story. But when you look deeper than the missing timepieces, you see another story. One where Hat Kid is both the audience and the star. Like actors at an amusement park, the other characters are there to help her through scripted adventures, so that she is free to play in a world full of whimsy and imagination that only feels artificial to those watching from the outside in. Hat Kid responds pretty much how you'd expect, by being an absolute menace. At its core, A-Hit boasts strong platforming fundamentals. The controls are precise and responsive. Hat Kid moves with purpose and grace in a way that is fun before it tries to be gimmicky and unique. Sprinting, dives, wall jumps, and tight air control are all you need for a 3D platformer to feel spectacular, and A-Hit delivers in a way that is truly refined. Q&A time! Mafia can't help but wonder, why is this game like $40? Mafia is not charity! Stupid question, and you should feel bad for even thinking it. You don't deserve your money. Hat Kid deserves your money. Give your money to Hat Kid. Next question. Fool! How is this game any better than another platformer, like Mario 64? Great question. Hat Kid has many hats, like so many. Now look at Mario. He doesn't even have a hat. Next question. Tell me, darling, aren't you a little old to be playing a game made for children? Whoa, darling, I'm sorry. Don't cry. I meant that in a good way. I meant, I really like how family-friendly this game is. Hey! Darling!
The movie should be made by real birds.
Look! There I am! I'm in the video! Shh! You're not supposed to talk over the montage. Oh, sorry. Hat in Time is not a long game. This game is not super challenging, although the DLCs, extra stages, and Death Wish mode can provide that if you need. But it's a game that's captured me, brings me joy, and I want to keep coming back to it. Luckily, the game has an excellent randomizer with the official Archipelago support, and also a metric peck-ton of user-created levels, especially if you enjoy terrible slop. A Hat in Time is a game that people seem hesitant to try, but everyone who picks it up is inevitably enraptured by its wit and charm.
There was way too much sauce on the pizza.
Why, I do think that I could talk about this game for hours on end. And you know what? Who's gonna stop me? I'm just gonna keep going.
Well done. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Really thought I covered everything, but go ahead. Oh, Ben, they're saying you're muted.
Oh, I'm so sorry, chat. I guess I was muted for chat purposes. Hopefully everyone can hear me now. I had to mute so y'all didn't hear my coughs. Anyway, you didn't miss anything. I'm a cautious enjoyer, I would say, of Hat in Time, and I asked Emma about the level design, but what the caveat here is that I think these levels are like so ambitious, the way that they're like they look, the way that they feel, the music's great. I don't necessarily love it in conjunction with the gameplay systems, which always felt really, really easy or like overly straightforward to me. I do remember some of the DLC being more of a challenge, but for me personally, it just kind of felt like it was one of those games where I never really was. It never put all of its systems to the test all at once. So, what is your argument for someone like that?
So, I would agree. The platforming challenges are not up to snuff compared to how like extremely refined the controls are. Like I can't possibly overstate how good it feels to actually move around as Hat Kid. But with all the tools you have, you can pretty much beat most of the bosses, all the platforming challenges. The biggest challenge is moving around more quickly. And it's really designed to be open to a wider audience than the upper echelon of platforming gamers. In the same way that like modern Mario games, I don't feel are particularly challenging anymore either. They kind of went the same direction. There are some more difficult aspects to the game. Obviously, if you do speed running stuff or randomizer or whatever, and you're just trying to go through quickly. There's the Death Wish mode, which is in one of the DLCs, which have you revisit those older levels that you talked about and put you through more rigorous difficulty jumps to achieve a wide variety of goals. I'm actually not the biggest proponent of Death Wish because the way it's organized is kind of iffy. If you get stuck on a challenge that you just really don't want to do, you kind of just have to work your way through it. And then there's like there's a few extra levels throughout the game. There's the time rifts, which are similar to like in Mario Sunshine when you go into those extra stages without flood. I showed a couple of them in the video. The stages with the white blocks everywhere. Those generally have better platforming, and there's a few time rifts near the end of the game in the DLC that are a little bit more challenging. I've done them so many times that I breezed through them, but other than Death Wish, you're not going to hit like the challenge that an extreme precision platformer might provide.
Yeah. I do think that's fair. Just a quick follow-up, because you really answered the question well. I actually remember some of those side levels being like the most mechanically interesting. Unfortunately, they just didn't have all of the character and like the joyous like visual ambition of the main game. So that really was my only core complaint. Panelists, do we have any questions or any questions from the chat? You can tag Roy. Skia, go ahead.
I like platformers a whole lot, and this has been on my radar for a bit. Something I like in platforms is like with Celeste, there's like wave dashing, and then like Mario Odyssey, you can do like the weird hat thing where you chain the hat and then you jump on the hat, and then you wave. And then I'm not sure if that was like an intended thing. Even in games like Team Fortress 2, where you can like rocket jump and stuff. What is like the hat in time version of like that thing that you're not even really sure is supposed to be in the game, but it is?
A lot of that comes down to a very early tool you get in the game called the sprint hat. You don't start out with the ability to sprint in the game, but within like the first level, it's more or less handed to you. That's where you start dashing through stuff. And you've got these air dashes that give you extreme mobility, but the sprint hat in particular has some very extreme like speed runner tech to it that wasn't intended. You have a double jump in the air, and usually if you do a sprint jump, it costs you one of your jumps, but there's various tricks to manipulate that so that you can maintain your momentum while also keeping your number of jumps in the air. There's also quite a number of glitches with a few of the other hats that let you do crazy slides and all sorts of other things. Not things that you're super likely to discover while you're playing the game for the first time, but as you get into speedrunning or randomizer tech, yeah, there is a lot of movement tech in Hat in Time.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, I'm gonna kind of bring something up. I loved Hat in Time, but I kind of fell off of it when I got to the 4th level. There's only 4 levels in the main game. Alpine Skyline, like you have a quarter of the I fell in love with this game with all the the charm it had with all the unique characters, and there was nothing for a whole quarter of the game. Like
Okay, a defense of
last act of
Alpine
it.
Skyline. So Alpine Skyline is home of some of the best platforming in the main core game for the DLCs, and I get what you're saying. Like it's a pretty hard transition because the first 3 acts are very story driven. They feel like Super Mario Sunshine, where you come back to the same areas and you're presented with a new challenge, and it's like, go do this goofy thing, go collect all the zebras in the zoo or whatever they're having you do. And when you get to Alpine Skyline, it just opens up. It's one big playground that you can move around in. And while the platforming is more in-depth and interesting there, you're not having those story-driven interactions. One of the things I talked about in my presentation was that there is a story being told to Hat Kid, right? It's that sort of experience where she's at an amusement park and the Disney princesses are making her experience more memorable for her. And there's a lot less of that in Alpine Skyline unless you intentionally talk to the NPCs. You just kind of go off and do the objectives. There's a good chance it's actually because it's an indie game and they ran out of money and it was time for it to come out. But it's a different experience, and I think it's still a good one. And the 2 DLCs that come immediately after really do bring back that core mechanic back while still having better platforming elements. Both the Arctic Cruise and the Yakuza Metro especially is exceptional in that regard.
I do love those baby seals. We're basically out of time, but if anyone last from the panel, I will get to one chat question.
Yeah, I think go ahead, get to a chat question.
Yeah, you kind of already answered Spock, so I'll go to Ashes. If you're someone that's not the biggest fan of collectathons, how would you get them to play? Like, what stands out for this game compared to other collectathons? Which I think you answered. But...
So a collectathon, I'm also not the biggest fan of collectathons, if I'm being honest. But it depends what your definition of a collectathon is. I don't think Hat in Time is that much of a collectathon. You do need to collect a certain number of yarns that are on the side in order to craft the hats you need. It's not an extreme number, they're mostly on the way. You just kind of see them, you're like, oh, I'll go get that one, easy. But most of the collecting is really just the flagpole of the level, right? It's the timepieces. You need to go collect the timepiece. And in the same way that like a Mario 64 or Sunshine, it's put that power star at the end of the level, go get it. That's not what I consider to be a collectathon. When you compare it to things like Donkey Kong 64 or Banjo-Kazooie, collect all the Jinjos, collect all the red coins in a Mario game. Those things are not very present in Hat in Time. You can really focus pretty well on, I've got this objective, let me go enjoy doing it. You don't really need to go out of your way for it. It has been a while since I did my first playthrough, so I might be underestimating how important collecting money is, but there's tons of it everywhere. So, that's more or less that.
One more round of applause for Emma. Perfect job. So that leaves us with one final presentation, Dinah. Are you about ready to go? I know you have a video, so I can probably just pull that up and play it.
Actually, it's a slideshow.
So I'm
just gonna tap through it if you just pull it up.
Perfect. Do you need volume for it? Is there any volume on it?
No, I was just gonna play a song from Spotify or something, but whatever.
Okay.
We don't really need
if
it.
you can do that, we can hear it, probably.
Should be able to, hopefully.
Okay. Let me know how that is.
Is something playing?
I cannot hear anything on.
Okay. Well, that's fine. We don't really need it.
All right.
I just got to be there for extra. That's whatever. All right. Anyway, Epilogue Essentials. Obviously, it's what we're doing. Are we starting now? We're good?
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Go ahead.
Okay. Have you ever wanted to fly through the skies on a pteranodon, or punch a dodo bird in the face? Maybe you want to mow down a forest with a Therizinosaurus, or punch a dodo in the face. Well, have I got the game for you? Ark Survival Evolved is an open-world action-adventure survival game with dinosaurs that holds a special place in my heart. This is the game that actually kickstarted my content creation journey. For those that don't know, I didn't start as a Kaizo streamer. I actually started out by making Ark videos on YouTube. But that's not what makes it essential. The countless memories I've created with old friends and new. The excitement I feel whenever I boot up the game or get to introduce it to someone else. And the many different ways that any given person could approach and enjoy this game are. For starters, you can choose to play this game online in a random server, solo, or with friends in a private server. Ark offers a wide variety of adjustable settings that you can control to create the ideal experience for yourself. That's not to say that the base settings aren't enjoyable, but the fact that you can tinker with so many aspects of the game to make it right for you is such a cool thing. Once you get your settings down, you have to create your survivor, of course. Even in a game like this, I could spend way too much time creating my character. But take your time with this, because once you load in, it's go time. You wake up on a beach, naked and alone, with a weird device implanted in your wrist. So what's next? Obviously, you go punch some trees. Maybe a little ankle-biting Dilophosaurus becomes a nuisance. What do? You punch it. That's the answer. Well, at first. As you level up and progress, you'll unlock access to new equipment and weapons, and you'll discover new resources and things in the world that you weren't aware were there at first. Because, well, you were just trying to get on your feet and survive. You'll face many hardships. There's day and night cycles, different weather that occurs, different climates that you'll come across, and dinosaurs that want to eat you. But eventually, you'll be eating them. I feel like I should also mention, because this doesn't really give a good idea, you can play this in both first and third person, and there's also an orbital camera view. It can be a bit grindy, trying to gather all the resources you need to progress and build what you need to build, but once you reach those goals and build what you want and achieve what you want to achieve, the gratification you feel is worth it. Arc also has a vast modding community, as a lot of games do, but you can use them for quality of life or cosmetics. And once again, they're not necessary to achieve a satisfactory experience, but they can definitely help elevate it. Oh, did I forget to mention that you can also tame dinosaurs? I think it goes without saying, but you can. Almost every creature in this game is tameable, and a lot of them have unique ways to be tamed. But every species has their own specific way. Not only can they be tamed, but the majority of them can be mounted. And you could get guns on their backs and stuff. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's kind of important. You may be asking, does this game have a goal? And the answer is yes, it does. You can actually beat the game. There are boss fights on each map that are at these obelisks on specific maps, on each main map. There's also DLC maps, and there's plenty of content in the main maps that are in the game. But you need certain items that you can find across the map to get to fight these bosses. And there are also little boxes and other objects you'll see throughout the map called Explorer Notes, which provide you with pieces of lore. Sometimes it's about the dinosaurs. Sometimes it's about the survivors of the Ark that were here previously. So there's a storyline, and these also give you a little XP boost. But you don't have to beat the game. That's the beauty of it. This is a game that you can just enjoy and choose how to experience it. Whether you just want to build structures, amass a giant dino army, explore every corner, be a farmer, or beat the game and ascend through the maps, it's up to you. You decide what is essential. Okay.
Let's give a round of applause.
Sorry, chat. Sorry, it's okay. I didn't say anything important. I was basically saying when I tried Arc Essential, I'm already. It's prolific.
You said it.
I was saying that when I first booted it up, the game ran like shit. So, Dinah, does the game run better at this stage, or did it run better later on? As it became more feature complete.
Yeah, it's gone through so many updates. I mean, it came out in early access 2015, and then it was released in 2017. So I mean, it's been almost 10 years, and it definitely runs way better now.
Okay, so that segues real into my next question. Essentials is something that we want everybody to like try and experience, right? And I think you made a great argument for that. Is this a game that people still play actively? I know they've had like spin-offs. I know they've had they had an additional game, right? Like I remember the Vin Diesel thing. That's pretty much all I remember. Yeah.
That so I don't really know what happened with that, but there is Ark Survival Ascended now, which is basically the same game but remastered.
Okay, got it.
So there's still plenty of people who play it. Ascended is on Unreal Engine, so it's obviously harder to run. So that's why I chose Evolved, because it's probably more accessible.
Mm-hmm. Does it? Can you play it like single player? Is this a game you can play single player?
Oh yeah, you can play it by yourself, however you want.
Cool. Panelists?
Can you tame a dodo?
Wait, what?
Can you tame a dodo? You said you can punch a dodo.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Of course.
All right, Dinah. I am your genre's biggest hater. Like, actually. I'm not your biggest hater. I love you, Dinah. But when it comes to survival games, we're looking for an essential, and that means it's got to be there for everybody. And I'm the kind of person who does not like to have their time wasted. And every survival game I've ever touched, I've never touched Ark. They all have the same gameplay loop where I'm crafting a bunch of nonsense. I'm worrying about my hunger bar, my thirst meter, all that sort of stuff. I find it to be extremely tedious. what brings me into the genre that art can provide?
So, you know how I said there's a lot of settings you can adjust and you can tailor make the game to how you want it to be? You can completely get rid of things like food bar and like your water drain. So you don't have to worry about food. You don't have to worry about water. You can adjust the day-night cycle. So you can completely get rid of the night and you can only play during the day.
Excellent. Do we have any questions from chat?
I don't see anything from chat yet.
Okay. Any other panelists? Thoughts, concerns?
Dinah, are you like a huge like survival craft guy?
A little bit.
Okay. So I guess maybe this is similar to Emma's question, but like I guess there must have been something that like made you like hone in on this one.
This is just like I said, this is what I have made a lot of memories with friends with. I've throughout the years played with a lot of friends, new and old, like I said. And this is the game I started my content creation journey with. So like special.
That's fair.
How cool are the dinosaurs? Like, it genuinely, I kind of forget, but like, how cool are the dinosaurs? Like, do you ever come across something where you're like, holy shit, like that's a T-Rex? Like, dude, does the size and scale feel about right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I just wanted to get back to my favorite, the Therizino.
Yeah.
But they're always adding new creatures as well. Like, and some of them are fan made that have been put into the game. Like they have community maps and creatures that have been actually officially added to the game.
So is there like a really wide variety now? Like,
oh yeah.
Like, what are we talking here?
And there's also a lot of different maps, and some of the dinos are restricted to certain maps because of the climates and stuff that they are. But there's also throughout this map, specifically the island, multitude of different biomes, and they all have their specific creatures that are in those biomes.
Okay, so it's quite diverse then.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually thinking it's kind of a fun game to bring while Cacti Guys is here. So a couple of coincidences today. We got one question from chat. Are there any supergiant dinosaurs? I'm also curious about this.
There are the Titanosaur and what the hell is it called? The Gigantosaurus, I believe was what it was called.
Awesome.
Those are the two main ones, and then there's actually holiday events too. And during like Halloween, they have the Dodo Rex. So it's a dodo the size of a Rex.
So wait, they're still updating this one, even though they have a new remaster out?
I think they're coming to near the end of this one, as far as doing stuff like that.
Okay, I wasn't sure what was happening there. Okay. Are there multiple objectives to keep you moving, or will the game just leave you to your own devices?
Leave you to your own devices. There's not really objectives laid out for you. It's more of you figure it out. You go around, look around, explore.
I think we're about out of time there. Let's give another round of applause. Clappies.
So that brings us to our voting discussion and crafting. Roy, do you want to walk us through how this works a little bit?
All right. So one by one, we'll go in order of presentations. Everyone else will deafen. They'll talk with the chat for however long they want about their top 3 votes, like top 3 picks. You'll DM me those 3 picks as well, and then pass it off to the next person. Once everything is all 6 of us have gone, I'll tally up the votes. First place gets 3 points, second place gets 2 points, third place gets 1. Whoever has the most points wins.
And there will be a chat vote, so stick around. You'll get a chance to vote in whatever doesn't make the cut. So Roy, I'm gonna leave this up to you. Who would you like to go first, me or Cacti? Given that the order presentation got a little out of whack.
That is a good question. I feel like it should be in presentation order. So Ben, you go first.
Okay. Does everyone want to deafen up, and I'll get to explaining. Say goodbye to everyone. Chat. Say goodbye to the panelists. You'll be able to see them still. Okay, so this is really tough. I'm finding myself at this pivot point, right? As somebody who has continued to bring the presentations, yeah, but please no spoilers. Has continued to bring sort of a live presentation. I'm honestly enamored with the creativity that has come with videos like Roy's and Skia's and Emma's today. Like, just really, really, really strong. And Cactuar's, I think, was a great shot at persuading somebody. Like, if you've played 10, I imagine that sequence right there is just like it really is an emotional click. So I get that as well. Like, it's hard to do that. But what I will say is that when I hear someone like Dinah say out loud, like, here's what this game meant to me personally, it still kind of means something, as it pertains to my own personal vote. So I'm going to go ahead and give Dinah my third place vote. I'm going to go ahead and give Dinah my third place vote. I don't think there's any world in which most of us or most of EG is going to consider Arc to be like a must play. But what I do think is that Dinah made a compelling argument for why, if you're going to play a survival game, like why that should be the one. And I think that makes total sense. So up second, I'm going to go ahead and put Roy's Portal presentation. This was amazing. That was fantastic. I can't believe Roy sang through the whole thing. Fucking awesome. And I feel like it's just one of those games that in large part it gets to speak for itself. And you have the benefit of, like, Roy's sense of humor here completely aligns with what makes Portal special, right? Like, there's something about the way that presentation went where it's like, oh yeah, like, that's what I love about Portal. It's fucking weird, just like the presentation was. And so, that's really valuable. So Roy's my second. And then first is Skia's presentation. It's it's in this weird spot. I'm sure, like, it's going to be difficult for people to ascertain whether they'd prefer Witcher or Cyberpunk to be an essential, whatever. Presenting those basically back to back. Skia's presentation is everything that I loved about Witcher 3, except for Cyberpunk. And so it's impossible for me not to say, like, oh, here's this game that I brought. And then Skia articulates, like, the same things in a completely different universe. It's not like it's Witcher 4. It's just this completely new universe, completely different set of characters. And it's all the same reasons why I love Witcher. And so, that on top of Skia's argument about video games as sort of a literature form and medium, just super, super compelling. And he did a fantastic job. Also, like, I've said this before, but when people talk about why something is meaningful to them, it people make fun of my presentation sometimes because I'll intentionally, like, pull it and tug at heartstrings. But, like, Skia up here for the first time ever, presenting for the first time, comes up here and says, like, hey, this game helped me as a person this way, and, like, so beautifully and thoroughly articulated it. So that's my order. I've got Dinah, then I've got Roy, then I've got Skia. Just what a great set of presentations. Emma's was amazing too. I think, unfortunately for Emma, I just have that experience with Hat in Time where I was like, this game's kind of it doesn't ever get to that, like, level of greatness that I know she spoke about, in terms of her enthusiasm for it. So just that was really the only thing missing there. Anyway, Cacti Guy did a fantastic presentation as well. Can't wait to play Final Fantasy X. That's it for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and hand this off to I'll tag Cacti and go ahead and get started. See you later, chat. Oh, I'm on Epilogue TV account, so that's me. Anyway.
Hello, hello. Check, 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 check. You can all hear me? Cool. Thank you. Thank you. Okie dokie. Oh man, what a lineup, hey? What a lineup. I kind of know what my first and second is. Third is who knows? Still haven't worked that one out. I think for my first, my 3 points, I think I've got to give it to. I think I've got to give it to Cyberpunk. That presentation was so good, and it really answered all my questions before we even got to question time, right? I was never really sold on Cyberpunk. I've got a friend who's like has wanted me to play this for ages. And his pitches were always just like, oh, I don't know if it's for me. Like, I still didn't feel like it was for me. But having watched Skia's presentation there, I actually now think I would enjoy it and actually have an interest in playing it. Yeah, and he also did a really good job at saying like why it was a full rounded game and why everyone should play it. I think, it's a good pitch for an essential. 2 points. Second, I'm going to give to Witcher. Witcher and Cyberpunk were a toss-up for me. I love the realm of The Witcher, and I think it does so many things right with that big open map game. I did struggle with it, but I definitely know there are ways to enjoy that game without getting distracted. But what I loved the most about Ben's pitch was his sentiment of like that post-game depression, that, feeling of being lost after a game. I feel like Final Fantasy X has that. And if Witcher has that, then it makes me want to play to the end now. So I kind of want to give that another go. And I do feel like, it ticks the boxes for, accessibility and being an essential. So yeah, we'll go Cyberpunk 1 with the 3 points, Witcher second with the 2 points, third point. Oh man, I'm torn on these last three because. Okay, for those that don't know, my second job is as a dino ranger, so I have a soft spot for dinosaurs. But like Emma, I can't get into survival games. And I don't think survival games or craft games are essential. I think they're the genre that is most accessible for people to just watch other people play while doing something else. I value my time too much to sink like heaps of hours into those games. And I think a lot of people would end up trying it and putting it down too quickly and not really getting a lot out of it. So unfortunately, I can't give Ark my third spot. Portal, I have issues with because I still think 2 is so much better than 1. I think it's a fuller game. I personally think the music even is better in 2. You've got the multiplayer. The jokes throughout it is better. Portal 1 kind of just feels like a trial prior to playing 2. It's kind of like they test the waters to see if people like it. I do think Portal 2 is probably maybe the best puzzler ever made in a video game. I don't think I can give it to Portal, which kind of leaves Hat in Time, and I'm a sucker for platformers. I've heard so many things about Hat in Time, but have never got around to playing it. I really liked the presentation. I really liked the pitch. I find it harder to fault than the other two in terms of being an essential. I think it's more accessible, and I think people are going to enjoy it more. I think I've got to give my last point to A Hat in Time. And yeah, that's my votes. Who's up next again? Who was after me? It was Skier. At Skier. There we go.
Hello? Hello? Hi. Hello. Hi. Okay. I'm going to try to not yep. I'm also going to try to stay locked into what I wrote down because, like, if I kept looking at it, I know I was just going to keep changing things around. Hi, everybody. Gosh, they say it's hard, but it really is tough. I was thinking about bringing Portal, oddly enough. I don't feel like the reasons I was going to bring Portal were really discussed that much. Despite how much I loved the presentation and the song and all that. I absolutely get. I feel like Diana feels about Ark like I do about like Team Fortress 2, where that game is just always going to be like in my brain, just like in my psyche, connected to just what I appreciate about video games. That being said, I don't know if I'm going to try Ark after the presentation, but I mean, you can't work miracles. Number three slot is going to The Witcher. Definitely on my radar, of course, after Cyberpunk, but yeah, there's something about how Ben described like the world being shaped around what you did and did not accomplish. I think that's really cool. That's something that is admittedly kind of missing from Cyberpunk. Because Cyberpunk's more of like you're trying to save yourself and not the world in Cyberpunk. Whereas The Witcher, that would be a really cool thing to see the things I liked about one Project Red game put into another one. Number 2 is Final Fantasy. We got spoiled on it, and I was like, okay, whatever. That's one that I'm not gonna probably have to worry about voting for. There's something Cacti was like so honest feeling when he was doing the presentation. Like I bought into it. Like and how bold it was having like the first like minute and a half just being completely silent. No dialogue cutscene, no commentary from him. You don't do that unless there's something there. You know what I mean? That really got me. So that's number 2. Number 1, we're going Hat in Time. I was looking for a few things when I saw Hat in Time pop up, and I was like, I need this discussed, I need this discussed, I need this discussed. Emma either did that in the presentation or she did it with the questions. So it was great. Yeah, that's gonna be me. Who the heck? Oh no, how do I do it? Do I at Roy, right? He's next, I think. Please see. Oh no, I don't want to ruin the show. Please.
Oh boy. My time,
Okay,
huh?
wait. Okay, goodbye.
All right. I'm like, as the presentations go, usually I like make my own personal list, and I'm like trying to figure this out ahead of time so I can get through it quickly. But I'm like back and forth between a bunch of things now, and it's tricky. All these presentations were so good. I do value presentation more than the questions typically, and there were a couple really good ones. That I think I'm gonna have to give them props for. Okay, my number 3 is gonna be a toss-up. All right, I think I'm gonna give my number 3 to Final Fantasy. It was either between Final Fantasy and Witcher. I've heard Ben go before, and like the Final Fantasy presentation kind of mimics what I've done before. Just let the game speak for itself. That quiet opening, just the Tuzanarkand. I I haven't played it. But that song, if you know the game, and I felt like even though without talking about Blitzball, he did a really good job. Number 2, I'm gonna go for Cyberpunk. I wasn't sure if I was gonna go number 1, number 2 here, but I'm definitely gonna go Cyberpunk here. I think that's what I'm gonna be. Yeah, Skia did such a good job with the presentation. Like, it was a huge juxtaposition from Ben's presentation. It was like, here's why the fuck you should play this game, as opposed to like what it meant to them personally. And I just really like that. But my number 1 goes into the one who had, I think, the best presentation, which was Emma in Hat in Time. Like, having the voiceover is just going over everything about the game, the whole idea of like rewinding time, the pause. The presentation was done so well that I can't help but give Emma the number 1 spot. That Hat in Time presentation was really, really good. All right, next we have Emma.
Okay, chat, can you hear me? Let me turn on my own music here so I can hear you. Well, I probably still can't hear you. I don't know how streaming works, if you can't tell. Wow. Those presentations were stellar. What a wide range that we've got here. Everyone really had their own style, which kind of makes this decision hard. And a lot of these games are ones that I've touched before, and they're fantastic, or I'm at least watching other people play them. I'm gonna go through them in order real quick with my thoughts. Final Fantasy X, Cacti. I loved this presentation. I love the idea that less is more in a presentation like this, and the way he led in with an opening movie that just sets the scene for the emotion that Final Fantasy X is capable of evoking. I think is powerful on its own as a way to build mystique for the title. Because once you've got that hook, you don't need a whole lot about the game, although I know quite a lot about the game already, so maybe I'm biased in that regard. Ben, The Witcher 3, I love the discussion about immersion and post-game depression, and the way that Ben seemed so utterly enthralled by this. There was a point in the Q&A section where he was talking about whatever teenage drama there was between the female characters and Geralt. I had no idea what he was talking about, but he seemed to really love it. And once you've got that kind of passion, you know you're working with something good. I definitely saw some concerns about is there too much jank in the game for it to still be a super enjoyable experience? I got the pleasure of watching him play it in the Discord a fair amount. He would stream it for us in the channel, and that definitely brings a lot to the table. In the same way that playing games with your friends that otherwise would be miserable. I can't imagine most of you would enjoy playing Super Battle Golf in online random groups. Maybe you do. Who knows? But people booted up in the channel and we're chatting and having a great time. And I feel like that kind of detracts away from some of the downsides that may have been downplayed. Skia, talking about Cyberpunk. This was a huge shift in the presentation. I could learn a thing or two about video editing there. My entire presentation was made using Clipchamp. You can tell Skia is a pro. I love to talk about redemption. I like the transitions that he used in the presentation where he would go from one game he was comparing about it to these hard cutoffs of musical and visual contrast to bring it back to Cyberpunk. And you can tell Skia is way into this game. And it's something that's been I've been wanting to try too, because it's one of those redemption games. And I'm a big fan of Final Fantasy XIV, which if you didn't know, started off as one of the worst games of all time. They had to literally drop a meteor on the player so they could reset the entire game. And when the gamers gave them a chance, it worked out. And it doesn't always work out for every game that tries to do these relaunches. And when you've got a game like Final Fantasy XIV or No Man's Sky or Cyberpunk, they end up being really impressive and get some of the greatest long-term support of any game. And Skia's passion is really obvious for this game. Something that didn't get mentioned, or well, maybe somebody's mentioned before when I wasn't listening, but if you've ever checked the screenshots channel in the Discord, Skia has posted so many Cyberpunk screenshots, and those make me want to play it like more than anything else I've seen does, because they're absolutely phenomenal. Roy for Portal, another game that I grew up on. This was I lived on Half-Life Source, Half-Life 2, Counter-Strike Source, Team Fortress 2, the Orange Box when it came out, and which had Portal 2 in it, and Portal 1 came before it. I played all these games. I love them. It really fits the bill for what is a great essential or game club style game of like anyone can pick this up. It's like Roy said, it's only 3 hours long, and it's cheap, and it's an enjoyable experience. It's not so challenging a puzzle game that you're gonna really, really have trouble with it. And it's one of the few 3D puzzle games I really like, because a lot of the times when puzzles rely on physics engines, they get really kind of janky, and eventually you just kind of break your way through it. Like I think like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom had those kinds of problems, and Portal doesn't. It feels really clean, especially for a game of how old it is. And also, Roy sang the entire time. That was really awesome. I'm already using so much time. Holy crap. Last one, Dinah, talking about Arc and what's essential. I like that the game can be fully customizable. I'm the kind of person that I don't mind modding a game. Like I'm infamous for having to install mods for Silk Song and whatever else, and whatever you need to do to make the game enjoyable. If it's there, it's there. It doesn't matter to me. The only thing that hold me back on Arc is that a lot of the points in favor are like, look at these cool dinosaurs and look at the guns you can mount on the dinosaurs. And while some people are really enraptured by that sort of like just, bat chest style stuff of, heck yeah, I want to ride a dinosaur, I'm like, that maybe that's just not enough for me. It's a less convincing argument for me. So that put it further down for me. So that puts my final scores. I'm giving it to Roy for Portal for third place. He's got to be on there. He sang the whole song. And also, fun fact, I live right down the street from the bakery where they made the cake that was used in Portal, and it is delicious. Second place, Skia for Cyberpunk. Again, what a unique presentation. I really enjoyed it, and it makes me want to try the game more than any of the other ones presented that I have not touched before. And then in first place is going to be Cacti for Final Fantasy X. The build-up of that presentation really sold it to me, and there were no holes in any of the questions he answered, even though there are some drawbacks to Final Fantasy X, and they were just covered really well in a way that I think most people will appreciate. So there it is. Roy, then Skia, and then Cacti in number 1. That's it. Let's get him out of here. Shoot, who am I messaging? Dinah. Bye, chat.
Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? All right. I'm not going to yap for 10 minutes. Everyone was amazing. I thought all of the presentations were freaking awesome. I enjoyed all of them. They're very entertaining. That said, I made a list as I was watching them, and I thought I knew what I was going to do. And then I was like, nah, I don't know actually. But I'm just gonna give you my 3 right now, because that's it. I'm not gonna keep talking. Third place, I'm gonna give to Cyberpunk. I thought Skia did fantastic with that. The only reason I never played it before was because of the bad reviews. Obviously, they've fixed the game, and Skia showed so much insight about it, and I thought he did a great job selling that game. Second place, so that's going to be the 2-pointer, right? I'm going to give that to Hat in Time. I do not like platformers. am not a platformer fan. But I know Hat in Time is a great game. Just by watching other people play it, hearing the music from it, I've heard the soundtrack. I know it's a great soundtrack. And I was going to ask a question during Emma's presentation, and then someone else pretty much had it answered for me. I was going to ask if all the hats did something different, like if they had powers, and that got answered for me. So that was cool to find out. And I thought the way she started that presentation was great. First place, gave it to Witcher. Witcher is the first place that I'm going to give the 3 points. Great presentation. Also, I mean, Portal and the Final Fantasy presentations were great too. Any of them could have been the number one. Honestly, this is just how the way my rankings went. I think the way that you can influence the story in Witcher by every single decision you make, the depth, the amount of content in the game, really do make it essential. And so, yeah, Witcher first place, Hat in Time second place, Cyberpunk third place. That's it. Done. Do I need to message that to Roy right now or what?
All right, I see you said done, so I think that's it.
Excellent.
Everyone should undeafen if they have it. Yeah, everyone is undeafened.
Are we back?
We're
just
back.
need Dinah to
Boy,
send
that
me
part
their
of the
vote.
show is
Yeah, I'm gonna
much
send it
more
to you right now.
exciting when you can hear everybody talking.
Yeah, this is a little
Send
awkward
that
from
one
our
list.
end.
True.
All right, just waiting on Dinah's votes, and then I can get it all done. I think based on the votes so far, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Okay.
Also, while Roy is tallying this up, is there any chance we have a moderator in chat who can set up the poll for when this is done? If not, I can do it. I know we have somebody else on the EGTV account. I actually don't know who it is. My only guess is it could be like Jinja or Kyle, maybe, or maybe Yogi. I don't actually know. But yeah, if someone else, maybe it's Yogi if he's okay. Yeah, so Yogi, that'd be great. Thank you.
We have a winner. I guess I'll go. We had a tie for third place with Final Fantasy and Witcher.
So does that mean those games are not cut? Is that correct?
No, it's only the first and second place, so they're still possibly banned.
Damn.
Second place is Hat in Time. Really well done with that presentation, Emma. And our new essential is Cyberpunk.
Wow.
Let's go, team.
With 11 points, Hat in Time got 9. Final Fantasy and Witcher got 6.
Yeah, that makes complete sense to me. Well done, Skia. Well done. We'll take a second to chat while the poll goes up for the second the second inductee. But I voted Skia first because your presentation, I think, spoke to so many different things I love about video games, like all at once. And if Cyberpunk is gonna deliver that kind of experience to me, then like I know for fucking sure it's gonna be an essential, you know. And so just great job articulating that. Love the presentation. I know people sometimes, I said this when I was doing my votes, but sometimes, you know, people will meme for making like a very like personalized a video or argument, and for me that's like the essence of what this show is about. And so just kudos. It was really one of my favorite presentations that's ever come across the show. So well done, Skia.
Aw, is that true?
Yes, it's true. It's true.
It really was well done.
Yeah.
I was really tied between that and something else my first place.
I also spoke highly of your presentation. I love the way that like it transitioned quickly between other games. There's really good contrast there between like their music and artistic styles. The way you just cut back to the action, and you kept like this gritty attitude throughout the game that really goes well with the game. And you spoke to a lot of points that like are going to hit well for different people. And the one for me was that you talked about Cyberpunk's redemption. And like I played a lot of games like Final Fantasy 14 that had similar sorts of stories where they started off really, 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 really bad. So bad that the devs have to take a step back, but they're willing to put in the work to give it a second chance. And when that's pulled off correctly, those often become some of the most well-supported games of all time. And that really makes me want to pull Cyberpunk up if my computer can handle it. I just don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how different like systems are really do with it. I mean, obviously there's graphics settings and all of that, but I mean, right now, like Luke or well, next week he will be starting second week of Cyberpunk, and he's streaming it. So it's I'm assuming if you can stream it and play it, it is hopefully manageable. Man, gosh, I'll say my top three, I guess. Oh wait, actually, before I do that, are we allowed to vote?
So I was just typing that. I accidentally did vote. So for the EGTV account, I was hovering over Witcher to see how many votes it got. Take one from Witcher 3. I think I'm trying to double check that I did, but I think I did. So I mean, honestly, you should be able to vote if you feel like it. I just did not intentionally do that. So you can take a vote from Witcher 3.
My number one was actually Hat in Time. There were like, when I saw that was the game you were bringing, I was like, well, for one thing, yeah, of course.
Yeah, no surprises, right? Yeah.
But same here.
Shocker.
But there was like 3 or 4 things that I was like, okay, these things need to get talked about, and I can vote for that. And we covered them all in presentation and in questions. So I was just like, all right, there we go. And then second, I did not see it coming. I actually put Final Fantasy. I really liked how like honest seeming the presentation was. I know we were memeing about like Ben lying earlier, but like I really liked how bold it was to have like the first minute and a half of your presentation just be like no words, just like, hey, this is meaningful, obviously, and then I'm gonna prove that to you through the rest of it. And I thought that was a really nice touch. I did put Witcher at number 3 as well.
I real quickly wanted to give a shout out to Ark Survival because Ark Evolved. I can never remember the full name. Yeah, well, Dino, of course, but because it's such a tough, there's almost no way Ark could ever like. I think because survival in general is such like a contrasting and contentious genre for people who play games. Yeah, it's really tough. But I did just want to say, I thought everything you said about it was like, as somebody who likes dinosaurs, somebody who's like open to the idea of survival mechanisms, like all of that kind of thing, I was really invested in. And I also want to give a personal shout out because I know when you're giving the presentation like live, you have to be able to feel that this means something to someone, and like that's how I felt about your presentation, Dinah. So that was I did put a vote towards Dinah's presentation. This was a tough one because everybody's was so fucking good. I'm surprised Portal didn't like. I understand why, but like Roy's presentation was so fucking awesome, and like. Just like, how do you compete with that?
This was a wide range of diverse and excellent presentations. In my opinion. Like everyone really
a lot of different strategies.
Very well.
So the good news is we do have our second Epilogue Essential, and that is Portal. So congrats to Roy and congrats to Portal. I cannot think of a more deserving game. Like at some point, Portal was going to make its way in. So really classic choice. Well done, chat, on your voting. I wanted to give a couple quick minutes. We're overtime at this point, but I wanted to give a couple more minutes to anybody who wanted to say anything about their votes or to the other panelists before we find a raid target. I think Lucor, can I get confirmation that you're streaming after this? I figured we'd raid Lucor since he's a regular on the show but was taking a month off and definitely made some time. But yeah, anybody...
No one in chat wants to hear the same thing I just said twice.
Yeah.
It's worth knowing the safe games to got second place in either poll are Hat in Time and Final Fantasy.
Fuck. Witcher's banned. I'm on a two A 2 in a row ban streak, dude.
I don't see how I make a better hat in time presentation. So
It's really, really good, honestly. Like,
yeah,
it
that's
was funny how you
it.
didn't really answer some questions. You just kind of like waved it off. Oh, it's a lot of money. You don't need your money. Just give it to us.
I know, LaRue. I'm
It was done
trying.
really well.
It's the issue is twofold. I really, like I said, I think the videos have gotten so good. It's like really hard to top. And also, you know, like the level of games people are bringing are just amazing. So, yeah, it was a tough go around. Yeah. I think everybody's kind of moving toward doing that more. Like, you can focus a lot more in a 5-minute video, you know. It's tough. So people did a great job.
Able to sing live.
Yeah, there you go. So but any other thoughts, concerns before we raid over into Lucor? Thanks everybody for sticking with us. Chat, I really appreciate it. We obviously had some tech issues. Hopefully those will get ironed over. We swapped to a new method of grabbing cameras and all of that, and it was much more efficient. Thanks to Emma for helping set that up. I know, you know, there's a lot going on behind the scenes when we do this. Like, I cannot show you how many different sources I have in OBS piled up all at once, so sorry in advance.
I really appreciated the tech errors because that made me less nervous.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. But we'll be back in just a couple of weeks, I think. Yogi will be hosting for the EU. I don't know if there's panelists on that. I do eventually want to get on an EU episode myself. But I know we'll be doing that. There's a lot more content coming to EGTV soon. So if you haven't already, follow the channel. We've even got some subscribers now, which is great because we're going to be updating our emotes very soon. We already have a handful of them made. We'll have a bunch more to come. So if you feel like supporting EG, you can also go to the Patreon, patreon.com/Epilogue Gaming, if you want to check that out. Okay, let me just run through everyone while we raid Lucor. Dino, where can we find you on Twitch or content?
You can find me anywhere under the name Dynamungo.
Excellent. Emma, do you have anything you want to shout out?
Thank you so much for having me. That was so much fun. Most likely the place you're going to find me on Twitch is going to be right here. I had a lot of fun doing my game show last week. I hope to do more stuff on this channel again. It's been an absolute blast.
Fuck you, Yogi. And thanks for being on, Emma. I appreciate it. Roy?
See y'all next time in a month.